Live from KSAT 12, the Nightbeat starts right now.
You know we're going to start with this, rain and more rain.
Yeah, let's get right to meteorologist Adam Caskey with a look at the storms moving through our area. Adam.
And the storms have cleared San Antonio for the most part, just a little bit left over on the far east side, right along 1604. We're talking from Selma, Universal City, southward, all the way down toward China Grove. This is the last little batch that's still within San Antonio and Bexar County. But what I want to focus on is this Boeing section right here between Floresville and Stockdale. This is moving right towards Stockdale, and this is a severe part of the thunderstorm where the primary threat is wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. And we switch over to our wind detector or base velocities, and you see where they get a little bit brighter here as they approach Stockdale. That's where higher up in the storm where we're measuring it, we have these higher wind gusts. I mean, we're talking up to maybe 60 miles per hour, but those can be translated down to the ground. So that's why we're watching this section of the thunderstorm as it moves northeastward, actually very quickly. This is moving between 55 and 60 miles per hour. So I can time out this part with the wind, and you'll really notice that wind when it first hits as it heads to the northeast and other communities that'll be downstream. You see that warning box in yellow. This is headed to the northeast very quickly, so we have to really stretch that out, maybe even more so than that. Anyway, I'll have another look at that once we get a better view and have more time later on in the newscast, but I can tell you right now that as that pushes to the northeast, I mean, we're talking already to Luling by 10:37 p.m. More shower activity eastward. I don't think this is completely the end for us here in San Antonio. We'll talk about what we can expect in the hours ahead in just a bit.
All right, thank you, Adam. Let's show you some weather video right now. I think we're going to show you some stuff from Bernie. No,
we're not.
Maybe we're going to take some Bernie rain video, but I guess not.
We'll get to it later on in the news.
We'll get to it later.
Now, Bexar County Sheriff Javier Salazar distancing himself from the district attorney's office, and that's based on the DA's involvement with an Austin-based criminal justice group.
Yeah, that group is called the Wren Collective. KSAT received 200 plus pages of messages between the group's founder, District Attorney Joe Gonzalez, and his first assistant. Those messages include conversations on everything from specific cases to press conferences to policy like bail reform. We spoke to the DA about these messages on Tuesday during the news at 6. Some of those messages also mentioned Sheriff Javier Salazar, including his investigation into migrants flown from San Antonio to Martha's Vineyard. In one of the texts dated September 19, 2022, the Wren Collective's founder, Jessica Brand, sent the district attorney and the first assistant DA, Christian Henriksen, a link to a story about the sheriff's plan to investigate the flights. The DA goes on to say the sheriff was interested in doing a joint press conference and goes into detail about their conversation. Well, in a letter to the district attorney from the sheriff dated February 1st, yesterday, the sheriff says he's seen the stories on the Wren Collective. The letter says in part, quote, "I know nothing of this organization, but seeing some of the things discussed among you all gives me pause on seeking your advice on legal matters moving forward. Joe," that's the district attorney, "you seem to be quoting me on things I intended to be confidential," end quote. Actually, a second letter was sent to the Wren Collective itself from an attorney representing Sheriff Salazar, calling on the group to, quote, "cease and desist from using the sheriff or BCSO to, quote, further your agenda," end quote. We continue to reach out to the Wren Collective. We have not heard back yet. Sheriff Salazar also declined to comment tonight. However, the district attorney sent us a statement, quote, "I have responded to the sheriff directly and clarified my role as the criminal district attorney of Bexar County as it relates to the potential prosecution of criminal matters. I now consider this matter closed," end quote. We also asked to speak to the first assistant DA involved in a lot of those text messages, Christian Henriksen. The DA's spokesperson, Pete Gallego, replied to that request via email tonight, saying in part, quote, "DA Joe Gonzalez answered detailed questions about the issue when he interviewed with Steve Spriester and Myra Arthur. He was clear, direct, and forthcoming in his responses. Neither he nor any other employee of the office can add further clarity to a simple effort to supplement the knowledge and expertise in our office in order to improve the administration of justice," end quote. He also criticized KSAT's coverage of the Wren Collective, calling it fake news. You can read the full response as well as watch our reports on the Wren Collective, including our interview today with the county's most senior court judge, Judge Ron Ronhell. He's also questioning the relationship between the DA's office and the Wren Collective. All that is on KSAT.com right now.
Now let's switch gears. For the last year, we want to show you this is what the Pedro Romero pedestrian bridge on Castroville Road has looked. But hold on, because that's expected to change when demolition starts on Monday.
Yeah, they're ramps to nowhere. Tonight in a Know My Neighborhood follow-up, the night team's Avery Everett explains what this means for traffic on the city's inner west side.
These ramps to nowhere along Castroville Road will soon be no more.
They've been there for so long.
It's been nearly a year since the Pedro Romero pedestrian bridge was hit by a truck on February 21st, 2023. That same week, the city removed what it could of the bridge. And in the coming days, the final demolition is scheduled. And neighbors say after nearly a year, these ramps left behind have made them nervous.
Look, let's see how easy it is to open. This should not be like this.
Some even calling it a safety hazard.
It's just completely open.
Wow.
And this is not secure.
A few weeks after the crash, the city created a short-term solution. They placed a temporary crosswalk on Castroville Road, but some residents have refused to use it.
So this is your first time crossing here?
Yes.
And why you just avoid this road altogether?
Yes, because it's so busy and I think it's just dangerous.
But you've lived here all your life?
Yes. But it's just, to me, it's a safety issue. The traffic is just horrendous.
Wow.
Over the last year, the city says it's been waiting on insurance money from the trucking company to move forward.
That took some time, and also we had to design the demolition.
The city says it ultimately ended up receiving just under $1 million. Public Works is using that for the demolition and the design of a permanent four-way traffic signal, soon to replace the bridge.
So why not just rebuild the bridge? Well, take a look at it. See how steep it is. The city and neighbors here in this neighborhood have concerns over ADA accessibility. And if they were going to rebuild the bridge, they'd almost have to do an entire rebuild. So that's why neighbors are pushing for a ground-level pedestrian crosswalk.
Removing these ramps is just step one.
It's going to be like a relief for a lot of people.
As Public Works says it's planning to start constructing the permanent crosswalk here by the upcoming summer.
So in the meantime of that construction, the city hired a consultant to study the Castroville Road corridor for traffic and pedestrians. And Steve and Stephanie, just a couple of hours ago, I got back a records request on that. And from these documents, the study is broken down into 5 parts, and it's going to cost the city nearly $70,000.
Amazing. They need something out there. Obviously, a solution. You and I have both been out there. It's very busy. Cars speed along there. I'm also glad we're doing this follow-up because this shows these Know My Neighborhood stories aren't just one and done.
Right.
Yeah.
A long time coming.
They got to do something, though.
And the other emphasis here is that you're seeing a lot of pedestrian traffic there, people walking, as opposed to other areas in our area. I mean, people there actually walk around that neighborhood. They need that project.
And those sidewalks are narrow.
Yeah.
Steve
They're
experienced
narrowed
it too.
even to begin with, right? I move people off, the sidewalks because they're too close to the street.
Okay. Thank you for that follow-up. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Avery.
Now for a Nightbeat update, we are learning more about the man suspected of mass murder in Joliet, Illinois, before taking his own life at a gas station in Natalia.
23-year-old Romeo Nance is accused of killing 8 people. The handgun you see here is the weapon he used to commit at least one of those murders in Joliet. That's according to the Will County Sheriff's Office.
So we're also told that this is the weapon that Nance used to take his own life after that run-in with law enforcement over in Natalia. It's a story that we broke on the Nightbeat. It happened on January 22nd. This is video from our cameras of that scene playing out.
Earlier this week, Will County detectives arrived in Texas, seized the red Toyota Camry that Nance used while he was fleeing Illinois. They say they've been able to recover more evidence from inside that car that will help them in their investigation.
A 16-year-old accused of making a fake threat against a local high school is now facing charges. Police arrested that teenager today, 2 days after the threat put Bernie High and Champion High on lockdown. Let's go to that scene on Wednesday. The initial threat was made at Champion High School. However, Champion and Bernie High Schools both were placed on lockdown. Police didn't find bombs, guns, or even the suspect at either of those schools. An investigation into the threat eventually led law enforcement to the 16-year-old former Bernie ISD student.
You know any history of a bad reputation at BISD while he was a student here, or
That's still ongoing investigation. That's still part of it.
any criminal history or juvenile criminal history that we're aware of?
No, sir. Not that we know of at this point.
The teen is now facing 3 felonies: terroristic threat, terrorism, and false report. Police have not publicized his name because he's a minor.
The President Joe Biden making good on his promise to retaliate for attacks on U.S. troops by Iran-linked militant groups. Today, the U.S. launched major airstrikes on 85 targets in Iraq and Syria, the start of what will likely be a series of large strikes on Iranian-backed militias. It's in response to a drone strike on a U.S. military outpost in Jordan that killed 3 U.S. service members and wounded more than 40 others. The bodies of those service members brought back to the United States today.
The U.S. Senate just reached a deal on a border bill, and we should know more details of that policy sometime this weekend when the Senate releases those details. Now, this measure overall is aimed at overhauling the asylum system at the U.S.-Mexico border, and it would be part of a larger national security package that would send funding to Ukraine, Israel, and other allies. Problem is, though, Republicans in both houses say they don't like the idea of compromising on border security. So it's unclear whether the larger bill would pass Congress. Meantime, senators, they want to hold a test vote on the package next week. So back here at home, we got to tell you about this. TxDOT, they're postponing this weekend's major closure on the interchange at Loop 1604 and I-10, and that's because of the forecasted rain and the wind. Officials say the planned closure is going to be rescheduled for another weekend. Of course, we'll keep you posted. So this was video that shocked us. A man with a partially amputated leg struggling to get downstairs because the elevator was broken at a public housing apartment. Now we have an update to that story, and it's next on the Nightbeat.
Finally, results. Last week, we showed you this video. A man struggling to get down the stairs with his wheelchair because the elevator at his apartment complex was broken. We're happy to report after our story aired, it was fixed a few days later. Garrett Berger actually went back to those apartments today and caught up with neighbors who are happy they now have a way to get around again.
You take a ride just for kicks?
Oh, yeah. 2 or 3. Just going up and down, make sure they work good.
Opportunity Home, the former San Antonio Housing Authority, told us last week that repairs had begun in early January. But one part was delayed, and then it was found another was needed too. They also told us hotel rooms were offered to the people affected, but not everyone wanted to go. As for the reason for the delay, a spokesman told us in an email, quote, supply chain issues continue to impact our contractors' ability to get products, especially for the creation of custom-made control panels. These are not parts that can be purchased at a home improvement store, end quote.
All right, we don't want you to forget, a scene from the Old West is going to be recreated downtown this weekend. We want you to join us for the annual Western Heritage Parade and Cattle Drive. You can line the parade route and watch as bands, carriages, horses, and those famed Texas Longhorn cattle make all their way down Houston Street. Now, that parade is set to begin at 11 a.m. tomorrow. If you can't be there in person, don't worry. You can watch the procession on all of our platforms, on KSAT 12, KSAT Plus, YouTube, and of course on KSAT.com.
And of course, the big story tonight is the weather out there. And this is actually video from Bernie we wanted to show you earlier. And you can see not only just how hard the rain is coming down, the wind kind of whipping it a little bit as well.
Oh, yeah, it's coming from in all different directions. I mean, you see it right there. You don't want to get caught up outside in that. Well, now here's a live look here in San Antonio, 57 degrees right now. When you look down there, you can see that the roads are wet right now at this hour. We'll send things on over to meteorologist Adam Caskey now.
Yeah, and we're drying out in terms of the rain. I mean, the roads are wet, but at least we don't have the falling rain right now to cause any more problems. This is a good soaking hit of rain, a good drought denting hit that's overall, all things considered, not that problematic for us here in San Antonio. Did have some higher winds closer to Bernie and up into Comal County. And right now, one severe part of this storm, which means some winds up to 60 miles per hour, is moving to the northeast. It's just through Stockdale, headed toward, basically headed into southern Guadalupe County, headed to the northeast toward Belmont and Duggar. We can time it out for those communities that'll be downstream from this. And there's the leading edge of the wind, basically right along the edge of that reddish purple line. 1034 Belmont, and assuming that makes it to Duggar, that would be 10:29 p.m. for the timing of that. That's really the only wind threat that we have. Otherwise, within these other thunderstorms, we're talking around Luling and eastward toward Walder and Gonzales. That's where we have some gusts up to 40 miles per hour. This action is all headed eastward. It's all moving away from San Antonio, but that doesn't mean we won't see more development later on over the next few hours, even in San Antonio. We could still have some more development over the next few hours, but I doubt that it would really be strong to severe. You head farther to the south toward Dilley, Cotulla, a few thunderstorms, downpours, but nothing severe in nature. I want to switch this up a little bit, talk about our drought monitor, because we all know that we need rain. And yes, we've had some significant improvements over the past couple of weeks, and I'll get rid of the lightning and all the warnings that we have on there. And you see the red area up into the hill country. This red, that's the extreme drought. That's where we need the rain the most. And I'm actually going to outline it for you and isolate just that part before we pop up the rainfall estimates from just this evening. So this is the rough area where we need the rain the most. Obviously, we could use it elsewhere, and we're thankfully getting a good soaking rain. But you look at the 12-hour rainfall accumulations, and within this area, the green indicates a minimum of half an inch. So between a half inch to an inch in the green parts of the extreme drought area. Elsewhere, we've got one bullseye here on the east side of San Antonio, right in China Grove, right along Highway 87. We can get really tight. Hey, 87 and Foster Road. This is about a 2-inch estimate there. Yeah, 2.1 inches estimated there in that portion of China Grove. I mentioned that we could have a few more showers popping up as we go through the next few hours here. And let's take a look at why. There's actually a boundary, a little front off to the northwest of us that's been causing this line of storms from San Angelo northward to Wichita Falls. On the tail end of that, we could have a little bit of development. We're talking a few widely separated showers and thunderstorms, but the main activity keeps moving eastward. It's out to Gonzales by 1 a.m. And then on the very backside, a couple pop-up showers with embedded downpours. I doubt they would become strong to severe, mainly just garden variety in nature. And then notice by sunrise tomorrow, we're sunny, wall-to-wall sunshine through the weekend. 53 in the morning, 70 by tomorrow afternoon, a bit breezy, but the real wind, that's reserved for Sunday. San Antonio and especially westward, we're likely to see some wind gusts between 40 and 50 miles per hour. Farther east of town you are, the lighter the wind is going to be. It's not going to be as problematic, but expect those big gusts on Sunday, especially during the latter part of the morning on Sunday. Near 70 all weekend, not bad. Hey, we're not talking wind chills this weekend with the wind. That's a bonus, right?
Take that, yeah.
Yeah, and all this is going to be gone by the time the parade starts.
Absolutely.
At 11 a.m.
100%.
All right, so the Spurs had this. They had it, Mary.
It was in their hand.
Yes.
It almost felt like it was a win. And in the final seconds, New Orleans comes in and takes the win inside Frost Bank Center from the Spurs. A total heartbreaker. We'll show you the highlights right after the break. Plus, we have more action on the hardwood to show you. A couple of important late season high school district basketball games. Stay with us. The San Antonio Spurs hoping for a better outcome against a New Orleans Pelicans team who they've struggled to keep up with in previous meetings. First half, Devin Vassell off to another hot start for the Spurs. He drains the three ball, gives the Spurs the 24-18 advantage. Then the ball popped loose. Vassell to Wesley off the transition, who shows the rim. No mercy, but no lead is safe. Other end, Williamson, the hoop and the harm. But hey, two can play that game. Rookie Victor Wembanyama on the other end hits the turnaround and draws the foul in the process. All right, to the second half now. Wembanyama with the steal, and he knows he's got his guy trailing. No worries. Jeremy Sohan throws it down. But the Pelicans can come at you in many different ways. Brandon Ingram goes right around Wemby and finishes with a two-handed jam, tied at 86. New Orleans would take the lead soon after. Williamson drives the and-one opportunity as Wembanyama is called for a flagrant foul. Okay, under 30 to play. Trey Jones misses the layup and Zion goes coast to coast. Oh, for the lead. The Spurs buzzer 3 attempt doesn't fall. And by the way, Trey was fouled off ball in the process. So a heartbreaker for the Spurs. They fall 114 to 113. Vassell led the Spurs in scoring again. And another double-double for Sohan Wemby, nearly a triple-double. And after the game, Coach Pop was asked about the late no call on Trey.
People get shoved, they can't go to that. Fouls get called, fouls don't get called. You go to the next play. We could all moan all night about this guy got hit, so did their guys, they got hit. You don't go there.
Was that the shot you wanted from them?
Yeah, sure. We'd rather throw it to the rim and go dunk it, but that's the shot we got.
All right, turning it over to some high school hoops now. The Johnson girls basketball team hosting Reagan. First quarter, Jags Jared Salters with a nice dish to Janae Johnson. Reverse layup is good, and Johnson leads by 8. Jags in the driver's seat for most of this game. Reagan pushing pace. Sahara Green drives the lane and gets the floater to fall. Both Johnson and Reagan on the outside looking in District 28 6A. There's Jada Mitchell playing like the must-win game that it is. Steal and score. And Johnson wins the Friday night tilt 54-40. A battle of 2 top 3 teams in District 27 6A. The Clemens boys basketball team hosting Judson. Clemens in front by 8. Quick passes on the outside leads to an open look for Christian Dupree, and he drains the 3 ball. Other end, Judson takes advantage of the double team as Chris Gooden Jr. knocks it down from long range. Buffalo's lead big in the second half. Trevon Williams surveys, then he drives in for the monster slam dunk. Take another look. Clemens wins this one 55-41, the final. After the break, San Antonio FC is back on the turf for camp. Stay with us. San Antonio FC started practice this week to prepare for the 2024 campaign. Their first game isn't until early March, but it's never too early to start learning from head coach Alan Marcina. There's plenty of new faces for San Antonio FC. Over half the roster is getting their first experience with their new club. The SAFC vets gave some advice to the new guys about what it's like playing at Toyota Field.
Mitch showed me a video. The first day I came here, he showed me a video of when they won the championship in 2022. And it looks like it's a special atmosphere. It looks like the fans really buy into the team. So I'm really excited to be here. I think it's going to be a special year, and I'm excited to play in front of the fans.
Oh, man, I show him the video. I had Gabe send it to me a couple weeks ago. It's a video of Santi's third goal in the final. And the crowd, when Tuku spun those 2 guys on the corner, you just see everyone rise up. And it's not filtered through the broadcasting booth. It was just the 4K camera. Everyone's cheering already, 10,000 people on their feet. Everything goes silent right as Abu hits the ball, hits Santi, and all of a sudden, yeah! Like that gives me goosebumps. I love playing here. And, I think it's the best environment in U.S. soccer. And, I don't care what people say about MLS. This is the real deal. People actually care.
That is so great. Coming up tomorrow night, you'll hear from Coach Marcina on a tactic he used to learn more about his new players. Doesn't that get you excited for football season, even though another football season's ending?
Exactly. I'm ready to head to the pitch, Mary.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Caskey's making fun of me right now.
All right, quick look at radar again to finish off the newscast. And nothing severe out there right now, but I am noticing new development off to the west. Like I said, we're not really in the clear until closer to 4 a.m.